We all know Nigerian budget through the ages, through the years, has always been, at least since the beginning of the Second Republic or the last chapter of, it's always been woven around oil, crude oil. Because we all know that Nigerian economy is a mono economy that depends on oil, crude oil exploration and sales for survival. And now that there is crisis within the global oil market, definitely it is going to affect the Nigerian budget that was passed, that was late last year or thereabout. Now, the federal government, the National Assembly, during plenary, set up a joint committee with the House of Reps. I refer to the Nigerian Senate now to, interface with the executive arm of government or how the budget is going to be reviewed, because that is our current reality. Uncertainty in the oil market. How do we brace up for the uncertainties? Things at the moment, to be honest, are not looking well, especially with the impact of this coronavirus on oil production, the consumers and the rest across board generally. Virtually some of the countries in Europe, in Asia and all that are locked down. And you know what that implies. Nothing is happening. You talk of China, which is about the biggest consumer of our oil, and even the US, everything is locked down. If you are producing something, you are selling. And we don't even refine. We sell our crude oil. You don't refine, somebody is buying, but that person is sick. Who buys your product? That is where the challenge is. And I think the federal government, I heard the Minister of Finance said yesterday, I referred to Zainab Aben, that they are going to review the budget. Of course, when it was passed, the benchmark was about $57 US. And now the thing has crashed beyond their projection. I think is hovering around between 32 to 20 US per barrel and all that. So they are going to review that definitely, because the funding has always been from crude oil. Our foreign reserves, we sell, we earn the dollars to fund infrastructure and other responsibilities of the government. You talk of the recurrent expenditure. If the money is not there, how do we go about all this? These are very interesting, significant times in the life of this country as far as the economy is concerned, as far as oil is concerned within the global community, as far as our budget is concerned. This is one of the issues we have always had over the years. We have always talked about diversifying the economy so that we take away the huge expectation on oil sales alone. But nothing has been forthcoming. Although we are still getting from the non-oil sector, but they are not as significant, they are not as tangible as what oil is giving us. That is why whenever there is crisis within the global oil market, definitely we are going to feel the impact in Nigeria. The current price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia is another challenge, coronavirus aside. So, policy experts and all that have been meeting, talking and all that. So we are trying to see what federal government is going to do, but they have to reassure Nigerians, because we can't afford to go into another economic recession again. If the economy begins to contract, the gross domestic product, definitely another crisis looms on the horizon. So the earlier they brace up to this challenge, the better for us. And, I think in some other corner, they've been talking of devaluation, devaluing the naira and all that. If you devalue the naira, the only thing it will drive is export. What actually are we exporting in Nigeria? We all know is this crude oil. The non-oil sector, our products are not that competitive. Ours is an import-dependent economy. We depend virtually on anything. We sell the crude oil, we get dollars, then we import. So it's not going to, be favorable, but eventually it's going to happen. Maybe in the long run, if things do not, change. But then, if it encourages devaluation, as we know in our basic economics, that is, devalue the naira. Now, if it encourages export, which it actually does, what are we exporting? Who are the people buying? Now, even if we have products beyond crude oil that we are exporting, what of if this coronavirus epidemic persists? People who are battling to, solve their health challenges, what would they buy from us? These are the challenges. They are huge, but they are surmountable. Economic depression is always the climax of economic recession. That is, if the GDP continues to contract, posting negative results, eventually it's going to lead to depression. And when something is depressed, you all know, even using human analogy, a man or woman who is depressed is almost suicidal. He or she can do anything untoward if, the person is not rehabilitated. We can't afford to have another depression. Now, you remember the Great Depression of the 30s, how the economy of the world collapsed. I recall the economic depression of 2008. You know how it affected the impact in Nigeria. So the world is already a global village. Whatever happens to A will definitely happen to B, because no country lives in any isolation anymore, especially in this era of globalization. So if you currently or consistently monitor what is happening within the American stock market, you will discover that issues have been, returns on the stock have been negative. Everything is shutting down, and they are battling coronavirus, although the president keeps telling them, reassuring Americans that, they are capable to handle the coronavirus incident. That Harvard University has even shut down now. So their pupils or students, rather, will be doing online learning engagement and all that in order to, curtail the impact of this coronavirus. So back to our economic depression, I don't think Nigeria can survive that if it happens. Like we say in our local palace, God forbid. The last economic recession that we just exited, we all know what we went through. Everything virtually collapsed. State governments, a lot of them, in fact, aside the bailouts given to them, they couldn't even pay salaries. Most of the state governments, what they do is just to pay salaries, nothing else. If they can't pay salary and the economy now goes into depression, it's going to be a very terrible calamity. And I hope it will not lead to that. What government must do now is to ensure that recession does not even happen again. Because if an economy suffers recession for the second time, definitely, if nothing, radical is not done to tame it at that level, it may, slip into depression, and that. Going by economic projections of policy experts, the way we are going about it, if this coronavirus of a thing persists, well, we might be, sliding into a global economic depression. Look at what is happening lately. Look at China, look at Japan, look at South Korea, and other global, industrial giants all over the world. So it's going to be a very huge challenge. But we hope the earlier they, curtail the impact of this coronavirus and keep it at bay, the better for us. If not, well, we'll have to keep reassuring ourselves that things will look better. But we have to, deal with that coronavirus first, and then we can now resolve our issues economically. We have to brace for the challenges. The challenges are going to be huge and they are going to be negative. But Nigerians are very resilient people. There is little ordinary Nigerians can do about this case, because most of us are end users of what government offers us. But it's the responsibility of the government to ensure that the impact, if it eventually happens, the impact is minimized on ordinary Nigerians. But then how? An economy that is not buoyant, an economy that is negative, an economy that is depressed, what exactly can the government do in a country where there is no social security safety net for Nigerians? It's quite very hard. And you remember the social investment policy of this administration. If the fund is not there to drive it, eventually those benefiting from it within that loop will find it extremely difficult to survive. The conditional cash transfer, the empower of a thing, and all the other, social investment policies of the government. So, the truth of the matter is that the outlook does not look healthy. The outlook does not look healthy, and we hope the pressure will not come, because if it comes, it's just like where it falls on anybody's roof, even including the billionaires, the millionaires, the industrial giants, and the rest, manufacturers, and all that. The informal and the formal sectors will be crippled. So, like we have read, the Great Depression of the 1930s, and it happened in Europe, in North America, and it reverberated across the entire globe. And that was when the population of the entire world was even minimal, and there was little technology then. This time around, if anybody sneezes in China, we are feeling the impact in Nigeria. Look at this coronavirus epidemic, how it started in Wuhan, in China. Now it's virtually everywhere. They have just discovered I think 2 index cases of coronavirus. Democratic Republic of Congo, but we just hope those people will test negative eventually, so that at least we can have some, glimmer of hope that in Africa maybe we may survive it if it happens, because we don't really have those facilities to contain the spread of the virus. So far, so good. I think I will commend the federal government, the efforts of Lagos State government too, in trying to contain the spread, the impact, and all that of the 2 cases that were reported recently, according to the Federal Minister of Health, Dr. Henry Osagi. So hopefully, the issue is this. Global economic depression is not what we pray for. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. The earlier we let Nigerians know that this thing may happen if so and so factors remain unattended to, where we have to brace up. But let it happen. Well, we hope it will not happen. I'm Dayo Williams, a public affairs commentator based in Abuja. You are watching the Analyst Nigeria Report.